My name is Nino. I'll be your moderator today, and we'll be talking about financial management in our gig economy. I want to believe that most of us creatives, at least in Uganda, Kampala, we rely mostly on gigs rather than formal jobs, at least a good percentage of us. So it's what we want to tackle. We've ever done it, but this time around we want someone more experienced in our midst to give us advice on how best to do it. So we'll be talking about savings and investments for gig creatives. Like I said, we've ever tackled the topic. We discussed it among us, and we thought we should do it again, this time more directed to just saving the money and the investments that we can do. On my own personal level or journey that I have traveled in my creativity, I've realized that, well, we've all gone through it. The gig economy acts in a way that you're a freelancer. You have so many bosses that keep changing, of different skin colors, accents, temperaments, and money bags, right? And sometimes you have seasons where it's really working so well, and then you have seasons where it's not going so well. So in those moments, how do you actually manage the money? How do you deal with going through the times when people are saying economy, eganye, for you, what's the story? Is it the same thing? How do you deal with expenses, for example? Do you have a consistent, expense every month? Do you have a budget? Do you make a plan of how much you should make every month and spend every month? So we'll be going through all those things. And in our midst is a very, wait, give me a second. A very qualified person. Matama Mary, Millie, right? I was reading her bio and there were so many abbreviations, but I'll tackle just a few. She's a certified public accountant. She has an MBA with specialism in finance from forgive me please, Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh Business School. She has a postgraduate diploma in financial management from UMI, and she has a postgraduate diploma in tax and revenue administration. Her clientele is UNFPA, USAID, NSSF, MasterCard Foundation, Vivo Energy. She has done in Forex deals, treasury bills, being right? So she's here to tell us, and we're here to listen to her. This studio talk will do it a little bit different. We thought so. We'll still listen from everyone and what you have to say, but we also want to direct questions to her, right? Most of the time I know we listen from each other's based on experience, which we shall still do. If someone asks a question directed to her and you feel like you have something similar or you have an answer before she replies, you can still jump in. So just to reintroduce the topic, we are talking about savings and investments in the gig economy. I've read about how, I think it's Eric's boss who sent out Solomon King. I saw some tweets from him like 2 weeks ago where he was saying that, if you're being advised to leave the formal employment structure and for you to just go freelance, like think twice, think thrice, think as many times as you can, because you could fail so bad. And for creatives, we seem to be mostly occupying that space of gig economy or freelancer. And we are here to talk about how exactly have we dealt with it, but better how to do it best while we are listening from each other, but also listening from her. So I have my first question to Mary. I know I introduced you, but you can also do a small introduction of yourself. Can you tell us the techniques? So there could be ways that each one of us actually knows how to, or we've been practicing to manage our own money, right? And there could be rudimentary, you could be having a box that you break every month, you could be giving the money to a friend, or you could be having a bank account, or you could not be having a bank account, like, Emma, you have, I know. I know you're laughing at someone else, but okay. He knows people don't have bank accounts. So, because it's a discipline you have to work on to be able to actually save, right? We work in an environment where there are moments or seasons that you go through where you have no money, right? In that moment, how am I able to save? Like, why would you tell me to save, right? When money comes in, not on a regular basis, how should I save? Like, for each bill that comes in from each client, should I have a structure on how to actually go about it? Should I have, if I'm to have goals, what are the techniques for me to be able to do that? But also develop the discipline, and discipline, I mean like something you actually stick to and make sure it happens, right?
You've asked so many things in one question. Hi everyone, my name is Mary. Ignore all this stuff this guy has said. I debit, credit, and drink Casolite. That's what I do. So I'm not new to this, to the gig economy. I have not been in the gig economy, but I am married to a creative, so I have been down this road, and I know the money story of creatives especially. You create, and the money is the burden, especially like not eating it, but managing it. So from experience, before even we go to savings, and this is the thing I thought when I got the topic of savings, we can't save before we streamline how we earn. Because then the thing is going to be, we don't even earn enough, what are we saving? And to that, I thought we should start from how we price. And the pricing also goes into what are we offering? But I know that you've covered pricing in this class. So how you price determines how much you're going to make. What clients are you walking away from and which clients are you taking? But to be able to walk away from a client, you need to be in a comfortable place. If you have no supper, you're not going to say no to this person, and this takes planning. So I'll go back to whatever you do, you must know how much do I need to survive, how much do I spend in a month, say for example. Do you know that figure? And how many jobs do I need to be able to make this money? And after I have made this money, anything extra, what happens? Though this is in the process of aligning, how much you need to target. Because if you just wake up to look for money when there's no figure to how much you're looking, you're chasing air. Every day we wake up and say, I'm going to look for money. What are you looking for? How much money? So if you know that, then you know there's something that's driving you, and before you've hit that target, you will continue to push. So after you know how much you need, then you go for it. And when it comes to saving, everyone has, to earning and saving and budgeting, everyone has a formula that works. We all deal with money in one way or another. My recommendation is in specific percentages, such that whatever money you get, if you're able to divide it into those percentages, You don't have to get a piece of paper and do it. The math, you can do the math in your head and know that this is 500K. If I'm saving 10% or 20%, that's 20% would be 100K. So I do have so for most of us, we do have, when you earn, I'll use 1 million shillings because then the math is easy. If you earn 1 million shillings, the recommendation is you're going to use 50% of it to cater to your needs. And your needs include your debt. Because many times we have debt, and if you're not servicing your debt, you're digging a deeper hole. So 50% is your needs, and your needs include your debt. 20% is your savings. 10% is tithe, black tax, giving, because that's a thing that also derails us a lot of the time. And if you don't put a cap to it, takers take, and they will take. They don't have a limit. So unless you have a limit yourself, and I don't know, no matter what uncle swallows what slasher, if your giving account for that quarter is done, it's done. You're not Deputy Jesus. I'm sorry, I can't help. There is, I said 20% saving, 10% tithe, 50% needs, including debt, 10% emergency fund. And I think for creatives, maybe this percentage needs to go higher due to the irregularity of the earning. And the goal is to have at least 6 months worth of spend in your emergency fund. Of course, you can't wake up and you have it. You have to work towards it. But if your creative was 6 months spend in your emergency fund, you're not going to take a job that is undercutting you, because you're not looking for today's food. You're looking for people who are going to pay you your worth. The last 10% is vibes. You need to eat some of your money, because if you don't allocate money for yourself, the person who is making it, you're going to wake up one day and be so frustrated by all the things you do, all the people you take care of, all the money you have saved, and you will eat it. You will wake up and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And you eat it. So you have to cater to that. Yeah, I don't know if I've answered all your questions.
You have, to a good extent. Yeah, so you're spilling figures, and I was looking at how I do it. So you said 50% to your needs, and then you said 20% to your savings, then you said 10% to tithe, 10% emergency, and then 20, another 10. Okay, so we live in an economy where money can come in from all different angles, right? Or you're working on 3 clients at the same time, and it's all coming in all different amounts. So this person is giving you 300K, this person is giving you 1 million, this one is giving you 3 million. For me to maintain that discipline across the board from each and every, income stream yes, that's coming, may it be a bit tedious for me to do the calculation for each and every one of those. But also because it's also not that regular. If I have a day job, it's not a day job.
If you have a 9 to 5,
yes,
it's
a 9
so
to 5,
easier.
I know there's this one figure that's going to come at the end of the month, and I've already planned for it. Either even in my bank account, I've said, when the money arrives like this, chop off this. So how do I get that discipline to actually do that?
So you see, saving, when you're going to save, you must have a goal why you're saving this money. So in this case, you're saving because tomorrow you might not have a gig. You're saving because you're building your emergency fund, and you want it to be 6 months worth of your money. So whether you have 5 million or you're earning 5 million, 100K, if that target hasn't been hit, keep putting money to that goal. to that savings goal. And then when you do a gig for 100K, is that all profit? Because there's money you're going to need to work. You're going to need internet, you're going to need, and now internet to do that job is not part of your expenses. This is a tool of trade, so to say. So when you say you didn't make 100K, you build 100K, but you didn't make 100K. You bought internet for 20,000. You used the electricity, so you earned maybe 50K, and this is the one you're going now to put to the things you need to do, to eat, to transport yourself, which are the needs I spoke about. Yes, that's the other thing I usually see. Like when you bill 3 million, you immediately think you made 3 million. You don't look at what went into making that money, which are justifiable business expenses, so to say. Yes.
That's a good point. I remember the first time I encountered Jab, right? We were working on a quotation together, and on quoting the client, I was so used to just give a flat figure. Like, in my mind, this is what it will take for me to feel comfortable. And I'll be rich, right? And then Jab sometimes, at that point, he was annoying because he was breaking down every audio, right, equipment, like breaking down a camera will cost this, a tripod will cost this, transport will cost this. And transport is asking you, where exactly is it? What's the distance? Can we estimate the fuel, right? Food, we have to eat food. And then after everything has broken down, then you have to see, for everyone you've worked with, who is going to edit? How much are you paying them?
Exactly.
Like
what's their hourly rate? How many hours are they going to need to edit?
Yeah. I'm wondering if everybody is relating. Do you all do that?
You have to be.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it helps you with knowing, once I get the profit, that's where now I do the 100%. Like everything else is not on the 100%. I want to throw it back to you guys. Just two people, and then we'll go to the questions. Two people to tell us how they've been doing it, even if you feel you've not been doing it right, or what's your process when it comes to saving? And you can go a little bit to budgeting, whether it's knowing, yeah.
Hi, everyone. So I think for me, how have I been doing it? I feel like sometimes the percentage of 20% for saving is too small.
It can be. The goal is to save at least 40% of your income. But where we are right now, for most of us, it's almost impossible.
Okay.
But 20% is a minimum. Start there.
Okay.
Below that, you're cheating yourself.
Yes. So in my growth financially, I would say that I've had, honestly speaking, targeted kind of savings as well. But then the challenge comes, sometimes the way we save money is that we don't categorize the money, how we save it. Like your emergency fund and your savings and the same bank account.
Same account.
Which becomes a challenge. And then sometimes, which is most of the times of the occasion, in case I make a bulk purchase, I grow from 100, let me say I had 15 million, I purchase something worth 14.5, I come back down to 500K. And so this is what disturbs me. Sometimes we can be able to purchase certain things, and but the challenge is that we go back to zero, which is almost a starting ground. So my question to you would be, the emergency fund, I would say, is it for keeps or is it for investment? Because I think sometimes we confuse savings and investments most of the time. Because I feel like some of us save money and you think that that's an investment. Then you just go and withdraw your savings and you go and invest.
Yeah, no, so that 20% that you're saving is, I said, to a goal. And these goals should be like your financial goals. From if you grow that money, then you can pick some of it and save. Your emergency fund is for keeps. In this country, we are all one medical bill away from abject poverty. It's for those things. I have not, there's a medical emergency, I'm totally out of work, nothing has happened, I have nothing to eat. It's for emergencies, the true definition of an emergency. It's not to pick and then go and invest. Because investments, unless, do you have a question about investments? Unless they are risk-free, you run the risk of losing your emergency fund.
Are there risk-free investments?
Yeah, treasury bills.
Okay, we'll get to the investments. Anybody else with a submission or a question towards Mary?
I'm Karama Emmanuel. So mine is a bit funny. It's sadly it may relate to only the guys, and probably the ladies also relate with soccer. Yeah, so you guys must be familiar with what they call formations in football. So there is one called 3-5-1, in which 3 is the defense, 5 is the midfield, and then 1 is for the what? Forwards. Yeah, so that's my work frame. Very hard to stick by, but to break it down, defense, like you need to save, yeah, for anything to defend you in any kind of circumstance. So that's like 30%. The 5 midfield, the boys doing the hard work, playing around, keeping the game going. That's the midfield. That's the, I think, the needs or whatever it is. And then the 1, which is like forwards. Those are the guys who score goals, right? It's like when you score a goal, you get more motivation to keep going or something of the sort. So that's more of like tithe. Pay back to God, and then like, yeah, you hope gigs keep coming in. Yeah, so that's my work frame. But then, most times in reality, how I usually do it is like, say, a random example, if in a month I'm getting like 4 gigs, I would say these 3 Saturdays are for, say I'm going to save that money entirely. Then I'll use, say, money from one Saturday to cater for the basics. It's something I've been using in that it kind of works. As soon as I get this payment, immediately put it for saving to avoid unnecessary purchases. You might be there on Instagram, someone has posted the phone, you're seeing your phone, the battery is, but then you're using it. That kind. So put the money away, and then in case you see you're going low on your daily expenses, that money for your daily expenses, the next gig you get, say, handles that and pushes that account. So that's how I do that.
And I think that works as long as, because the thing about saving is it's a muscle. It must be exercised for it to grow. It's a discipline, and with discipline, you must do it consistently. So if it is this gig is all going to be saved, then that's it. As long as you're able to do it consistently and you know what you're working towards. And I think that works. The year can as long as, because the thing about saving is it's a muscle.
Okay, is there anyone who you feel you're struggling with saving?
I struggle with saving, and it's something that I deeply desire. Like when I hear him talking about 3-5 what, I'm like, wow. And then like when someone else is like 40% is the saving rate and everything. But it's scary to admit right now, but I do not exactly care about money. So what happens is that I have started up like different initiatives here and there. Like you're saying you want to tell architecture stories. then you're saying you want to encourage maybe people in the professional world to do more, to live more healthily. So all these are like startups maybe. And then maybe you're also interested in like photography and everything. So like every time I receive the money, there is always the need to inject it in one of these ventures so that it grows. So sometimes, and then if I'm to save, maybe it's because I have a friend group where we save, but you're saving like 100,000, which is like very little.
It isn't. It isn't. And I was joking with Nino earlier that I am the grandma of my workplace because most of you guys have the advantage of time. Your 20s is the time. 100K in your 20s is enough compared to 100K in your 40s. Because now what you're trying, yet if you don't save, you'll reach your 40s and you'll still be trying to put away 100K. And at that age, the responsibilities are more, the things to do are more. You actually have to pay attention to the money. So no, 100K is not little. If you save 100K from the age of 25 consistently, by 35, there is something there.
Yeah, so I really want to be at a place, and then yes, the other thing is if I have a job to do, there is always that desire to focus more on the results. In that sometimes even when maybe the client has paid for like they've paid for a certain package, but like, of course, there is that thing of I need the money, so you're going to bill like half of what you normally bill, even sometimes quarter, but it comes with certain consequences. So while I watch some of my fellow creators like comfortably go like, if you pay for the number one package, I'm going to give you the number one package. If you pay for the number 5 package, then I'll give you the number 5
That's what
package.
they paid for. Anyway,
That's the thing. So like for me, the struggle is I might have allowed the money for the number one package, but when I receive the job, I still want to give the full result and
Why?
like
It's a creative problem?
it's a creative problem. That's why I'm saying that it makes me feel like maybe I don't value money, which makes me sad because I want to be rich. And
when you said you didn't care for money, I thought it's because you're already rich.
no, that's the thing. Like I'm actually receiving. Okay, let me say you're paying 500,000. The job is supposed to be 1.5. I received the 500 maybe because like rent is pressing. What? So instead of saying I'll just give you like a careless floor plan and that's it, I'm actually going to still go through the full process of let me conceptualize, let me give them renders. I want them to have the full experience. So yeah, I
What's your cost of production?
my cost of production.
What's your hourly rate?
Now,
Like, value your time. Also, what are you putting in? Aren't you using like software? Isn't it paid for? Why are you willing to give people work for free for a software you have to pay for at the end of the month?
like, okay, that's what I'm saying. I
And
really
that's
want
why I said
to.
this is a creative problem. Me, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think I know the right person to answer that question. It's Fish. I'm coming to you. So, and I know it's sometimes it's a problem for us. I know Emma whispered when you're talking that passion, right?
Yeah,
that
passion.
some creatives, we don't put like value on our work, on our passion. Because sometimes you have Vicky and Julian call it Ubuntu vibes, right? You feel like if you overcharge someone, then somehow you're stealing from them. Yet actually what your passion produces is valuable work. And being able to put the actual value to it makes you earn more, makes you save more, makes you invest more. So Fish, if you can slightly hint on that, of like, can you tell us why we should actually put value on our work? Not because it looks good, but actually put the monetary value to it. And if I'm so passionate about something, I should not just do it for passion. That if it's time for me to charge the actual value I feel, for me to be able to translate the good work I feel I'm doing to money, you get? The relevance of that, of put value to your work, put the money to it and say, this is actually what I charge. Yeah.
I can relate to her story because the biggest challenge I have seen a lot of creatives suffer with is they're putting in their emotions into the work. Yeah. And that becomes a little bit of a challenge. And especially in the kind of economy we're dealing with, you have most of the clients who actually don't value our work at all. At all. So sometimes the resources you put in to just produce the work itself. I'm an animator as well. So you find like my workstation just cost me 8 million to create it. Yeah, now it's a lot of jobs, but at the same time, the kind of clients you're producing for don't value your work. That's the biggest challenge that you have. So even though you want to produce a lot of works, these people don't value the kind of work you're doing. I could say most of the works, most of the people in my kind of line of work want to produce really high-end work, but the clients live in 1964. Yeah. So you have sometimes a scenario where you want to really deliver good work, but you're dealing with a dinosaur, a guy who really doesn't know what you're talking about. So it becomes a challenge. You really want to do good work, but it's going to cost a lot because you've put in a lot of resources to just design whatever you have to. But when you look at the rates, someone is like, that small thing, you're charging 15 million. That's the mentality, yeah? So you are always going to be challenged, like, do I charge 15 million? Or do I have to reduce just to sustain myself? And that kind of like breaks your back.
Yes, but if they are not taking 15 million, I'm not sure how this works in animation.
Yeah.
But like, for example, photography. If you tell someone, for this amount of money, I'm going to give you 4 pictures.
Yeah.
Why are you giving them 80? Edit their 4 and give them to them. That's what they paid for. How does that translate in your field? If they're not willing to pay 15 million, is there a place to meet them at their cost? But now what she's saying is that place is there, but you as a creative, after you've taken that money to meet them at that 2 million that they're willing to pay, then you get carried away by passion and you deliver work of 15 million to someone who was worth 2 million. But you know what that does? Even the person who was willing to pay 15 million will not pay it, because if you can do it for 2, then why am I paying 15 for it?
I totally get what you're saying. And I want to agree and also disagree. Why? Because at the same time, the work we do is our CVs. Yeah? So if you do work because someone is giving you 500K rather than giving you 15 million, is going to reduce the quality that you're going to produce. And guess what? You can understand because you're my client. But remember, the work I do for you is going to sell me to the next client. So the next client is not going to care about the details of our arrangement. He's going to look at the output. He's going to look like, I don't care if it was 500K or 15 million, this is the output that I've produced. So you're always going to be challenged. Do I produce this for you because it's either going to land me the next client or it's going to destroy me? Because at the end of the day, the more you reduce the value in terms of finances, the more you reduce the quality of work. Yeah, you get. So at the end of the day, I can be like, okay, cool, let me just try to get this deal to survive. But in actual sense, you're going to find that other clients are going to look at my work and they're going to be like, look at how shit it looks like. Is this all you can produce? Yet in actual sense, that's all not all you can produce.
But you're never going to get to the point where I can tell them this is not all I can produce.
Now, you see, that's the problem, because over-explaining yourself to the next client is actually going to break you. Yeah? So as creatives, you realize that the biggest asset you have is what you have done. Yeah? So at the end of the day, it's not.
So then, so is the value of this work 15 million or 2 million?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 15. Yeah, you see, it's supposed to be 15. Yeah. So, and I think a couple of months, months ago, I was sharing some of the things here. I was like, not everyone is your client.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you get to decide. Even if you agree to do it at 2 million, do it as your very best. Why? You agreed.
You agreed.
You agreed at the end of the day. So don't come and complain, I charged less. You took up the initiative to say yes. So whether it's going to break your back, it's up to you.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from Fish is walk
remember.
away. I remember, yes. Is walk away from this. If your value is 15 million and they're giving you
because
2,
sometimes
you'd rather not.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll find like, yes, you've agreed to produce work at 2 million, but because of the unseeable, let me say, variables, you will produce more, and also the most valuable asset you have is also time.
Time, yeah.
Yeah. So for that value of 2M, you produce work for 3 months because the client is stupid enough not to even understand what you're doing.
Don't call your client stupid.
Yeah? Man, some of them are actually very stupid. No offense. No offense. But at the end of the day, like some of them just don't really want to get you. Yeah? Because of the mindset they have. So at the end of the day, you calculate, you're like, is it really worth my time? Even if the money looks good and you want to survive, I'd rather say no, and I go and study more and expound on my craft than wasting too much time on a client who doesn't value you, who's going to pay you less.
And who is going to demand a lot from you.
Yeah, I wanted Fish to hint on that because the last time we had pricing, he really burnt us for those who are around, and those are the same things he was saying. Like, if you agreed to do a very low budget job, don't complain after you've agreed, right? After you can't save out of it, then it's your fault. It's not the client's fault. Just try to put up your guards and be as careful as you can not to take low budget jobs. But if you agreed, do the very best that you can because you're still passionate about it. It will still be on your portfolio. For those who have just come in, we are talking about saving. We are talking about our own experiences. How exactly are you doing it? What are the challenges you're having? And if you have any questions to Mary, feel free to ask her. Is there anybody who'd like to share?
Hello, everyone. I'm Yiga. Nice to meet you, Nyavo. The rest I think I know. I happen to run a small, I would say it's an initiative. It's more about financial literacy. I started it as a company, but I realized at the end of the day I have to teach people how to save. And being a part of the creatives, we really have that challenge because we believe if I've gotten a gig today of 1M, maybe tomorrow I'll get one of 1.5. So there's a way we spend this money we've just gotten because, it's from you. It's a skill that you have. No one is going to take it away. So people will always walk in and, you're assured of that money flowing, which I've really faced with so many people, and even some that are not in the industry. I have a company that sells piggy banks. So people who buy from you always ask me, now, I will be saving, then I start breaking it, and then it looks beautiful. How do I save and I don't break? And because I would say for you, maybe at a certain level, but for us who are dealing with people who are just learning how to save, it's really hard down here that I advise them to save 10%. Because I believe if you have 100,000 and you take away just 10,000, it is really hard for you to spend from 10K to 90,000 minus you stopping somewhere. So I feel the 10% is money that someone can't run to come back to, and its money can be kept in a piggy bank. And that's what I usually tell my people. And for the last 3 years I've been operating, I've seen very many successful stories of people keeping little money. And the challenge I usually get from people who break their piggy banks, to me a piggy bank is more like a bank account whereby someone will say, I'm going to leave that money there, but the following day they walk there and pick the money. So what I usually tell them is, have a mindset of a child. They will not look at the value of the money they are keeping, but they will keep the money. They will run and pick any coin and take and put in their piggy bank. At the end of the day, they count how much they have. But the challenge is someone will want to save like 40%. And these expenditures are going to come and even reach the 40%, and they break the piggy bank. So me, that's how I deal with my creatives, a few of them that I have in my circle. I encourage them to save little and invest more, because when you invest some money, you may not come back for this money that you're saving. So some spend even the investment. That's a challenge also. Yeah. And then also another thing, about what Fish was saying, I really feel us as creatives, the money is not something that we should actually consider when we are putting out our stuff, because price is perception. Someone might do some nice work and they give them a lot of money. And someone does some funny work and they give them little money. Or the other way around. So if someone tells me that my work is 15 million, they are lying. That's what I'm telling you today. You know? There's someone I met recently and he told me, it's important for you to choose your clients, not them to choose you. So I took it personal. Yeah, on a serious level. Whoever takes my work, I want to see you, I want to talk to you, because I'm looking for that value that you're going to add on me at the end of the day, because me, I'm assured of my A game every time I show up. The A game is not about the money. It's an A game, so I have to choose who deserves my A game. I either walk away or I give you the A game. You give me what I've told you by that time. The value will change later. So thank you for your time.
The other thing I wanted to say about saving and the discipline of it is it's hard for most of us. We have this money on our phones. If you have cash in this city, if you have a 50K and remove 1K, like that money is gone. So, take the power away from you. Do automatic savings. Some apps now have them. And if you receive money and you've told them every Friday I'll be putting away this amount of money, the money goes off your phone automatically. If, like Emma, you have a bank account, where's Emma? If, like Emma, you have a bank account, you can do a standing order such that you take the power out of your hands, because it's difficult for most people to get the money and actually put it to that cause.
I know most of you came later on. Barbara, if you have something to say about saving, you do? Okay.
I have to stand. You can sit here. Hi everyone. It's very exciting to listen to you talk about the topic of the day. I think one thing that I can say about the savings thing is, for me, I had to first take a step back and internalize my relationship with money, because I noticed it was flawed. And also this stemmed from trauma. Because I first looked at how I grew up, how the people around me were handling money, and how not having money affected me. So, and I hate being broke, so broke, like I'd be panicking in case I'd be like, okay, there is little money, I start to panic. So I first had to be okay with the situation I was in. Like I first wrote it down, I was like, okay, this is what you have, and this is the opportunity you have, not to go back to the old days. So how are you going to go about it? And just breaking down my thought processes, the trauma, the wounds that I had around money, it helped me so much. So it also pushed me to create the discipline that I have now. And also, me not knowing money pushed me to look for ways of knowing about money. Like, I learned about a sinking fund, I learned about the emergency fund, I learned about treasury bills, like all the things. And so whenever, and also one thing that I realized is when you're getting the money, the trauma creeps up. You start being like, okay, I'm spending too much money, or I don't have enough money. So you have to be okay with those days when you remove that 1K from the 50K and be like, that is fine. It is fine. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. So I used to beat up myself, like, it was too much until I had to sit down and be like, you have to calm down and be okay with money. Talk to it. Something like that, like talk to the money. And like just be okay with like having a conversation with it.
I actually like the fact that she brings this up,
Yeah.
because most of how we relate with money is informed by where we grew up from and how we saw our parents handle money. So it's a very valid submission, because if you don't, this whole eat the rich, kill the rich people are evil, like all these narratives are around, but also how you feel when you're spending, how you feel when you have money, it all comes from how you saw money when you were growing up. So that introspection is very important.
Hi, everyone. It's exciting to be here. My name is Sheila. Experience with saving. I think like Barbara said, it comes back from the background, how you've seen the people around you use money. So now, for my case, it came back to tracking. Yes, we can decide to save, but sometimes you're like, where has my money gone? So I decided now to track every expense, be it 50 shillings, be it 1,000, be it the bank charges. I got to track every single expense. Yes, but initially I was using a book. I had a book, so I would write. Every day I would write, and then on a weekly I would assess myself. And with a few conversations, I managed to get an app. It's called Andra Money. You can get it on iOS or Android. Yeah. Honestly, tracking was not so easy, because sometimes you will either forget, or you're like, this is minor. But I did it for months, over and over and over, in that right now I can't sleep without tracking. It's now a discipline, and it's really exciting. Even at the end of the month, you try to see how much, or I try to see how much have I spent this week or this month. In the first stages, you're shocked, you'll panic. You'll be like, okay, where did this 5 million come from that I spent? Because you actually didn't have it cash, but you spent it. So it's okay. It's okay when you find your expenses are extreme. You'll just continue with that. So for me, it's tracking on a daily. Then I apply the 10-10-20-60 rule, where my 10 goes to tithe, the other 10 goes to giving and black tax, like Mary says. Then the 20 goes into saving. Then the 60 goes into expenses. And one other thing I've got to understand is that issues will never get done. So whether you're getting 10 million or 20 million, there will always be something. There will always be a black tax. So let every situation, or what I'm mastering, or the journey I'm on is, let everything fit into my target, not me fitting into. Yeah, so for me, that is it. And then I also have budget planner. I like a budget planner. I try to make everything so nice for the ladies. Everything, I ensure that there is a motivation to it. If it's a budget planner, how is the color? Is there something to it? Like, you're really motivated to save. So for me, that's it. And then when it comes to business, lucky for me, One lucky, it's lucky for me. I have formal employment, then also the creative. I do decor, I do weaving rugs, I do bouquets, name it. So what I do for business is I differentiate the accounts. There's an account for work and an account for business. So whatever comes from the business goes back into the business, because that means I've not yet reached a point to eat that money. Yeah, I pay myself first, because every time I'm doing something, I have to get a payment.
Yeah, it's important to pay yourself.
So that I am motivated. So for me, I differentiate the accounts. That's it for me. Thank you.
Sheila raises valid points. Tracking is important, and if you don't track, you don't know. For example, if you're not tracking and I ask you how much money, today is Thursday, how much money have you spent since Monday? You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer. But if you don't track, you don't know. And if ever you're to draw your list of expenses, like she says, you'll find that you're spending much more than you are officially earning. And what? Are we now miracle workers? Where is the money coming from?
I'm going to share, this is a bit personal. I remember growing up and seeing our dad had some brutal way of buying things, right? When you'd see when he's telling you there is no cooking oil this week, then you know he's about to buy something for home, right? And he was aggressive when he wanted to do something for his family. And it was at one point when I accidentally looked at his pay slip, right? And ever since then, something changed in me, because I saw how much was being paid and I saw how many kids he had in school, and I always wondered, right? How exactly is he managing take all these kids to school? Because for him, when it came to school, we never lacked anything, right? But cooking oil, you will lack. So he had his priorities straight, right? If school needs something, he will do everything to get it for you. If you want this school, what's the school fees? He will do everything to get it for you. But then you look at his pay slip and you're wondering, is there some black things, back things happening, what's going on? And I remember our eldest brother, when he was going to school, he sat down to ask him that specific thing of where is the money coming from, right? We don't see it, but we see we are going to school. And then he just said, man, I'm aggressive with saving. And I remember when you were saying, when she said 100K, and you said it's actually not little money. And I remember when I started to get, 100K, 200K, I'm like, this is a lot of money. I'm earning more than my father.
But also, it gives you so much pride to look at that money after, even if it's after just 1 year and it's 1.2 million, and it's there, and you're like, I did this.
Yeah. And then it would be that, however small the money is, just look at it that it's valuable and you can actually save it. That's because there's a lose 2K in your pocket, you can actually save it.
Also, if $1 million lacks 2K, have you ever been in a taxi and you don't have the fare? It's usually not much. That's when you know the importance of 2K. Yeah. But if you're not faithful and disciplined with little, you will not be disciplined with much. Yeah. It just won't happen.
The Bible says that too. We'll do one last submission and then we go for a break.
Hi everyone. My name is Makobi. Nice to meet you, Matama. And so my first interaction with a bank account was, I think, in S2. And this account was opened for me, I think, by my dad, because he was going to be sending me money every month, a standing order every month. And each time that money, I'll just be looking forward to that date when the money would show up. So each time that money would show up, I'll just go and just blast, man. And you know how they say the first step to healing is acceptance. So, being financially disciplined is hard. It's very hard. And also being financially indisciplined is also hard. So you choose which kind of hard you want to rock with. So I noticed, I realized that I wasn't very financially disciplined, to be honest. Right now, even right now, it's not as bad as it used to be before, but I wouldn't say I'm like very, very financially disciplined. Like I'm those people who you'll be there chilling and you'll see a nice pair of sneakers and you're like, you know what, I've been broke before, I did not die. You get? Like it's the truth. But, so I noticed that. So for me, what I did, I have a sister who's very, frugal. Yeah? Like even if it's 100 shillings and she gave it to you, she wants you to give her back her 100 shillings. And those days when I was young and she would send you to the supermarket, she would always want you to carry a receipt. And that stuff would piss me off because in my head I'm like, I've brought you the things you wanted. Like, why are you stressing me with all these things? Until when I grew up, and then I also started that stuff of, carrying a receipt and stuff like that. So when you notice you're not good at, like, say you're financially indisciplined, find somebody who's like really, really good at that stuff. Because my sister will keep my ATM cards, like she'll know how much is there, she'll know how much you've used when and whatnot, and help you track all that stuff. Because me, honestly, I don't want to think about that stuff of, hey, you used this, I don't know what. You get? Like, I don't want to come and lie to you and tell you, oh, I keep track, then I used this, then. No, I don't. So when you notice, when you realize you're horrible at that particular thing, then find somebody who's really good in that field, and then try as much as possible to be very consistent. If you have to save, I like what she said with the percentages, because it's bad if you say maybe I want to save 100K every month, and then so if a month shows up where you're not able to save 100K, then what happens? But then if you commit yourself and say, I want to, whatever money I get, I'm going to save this 20%, and I'm going to take care of this, I'm going to make sure this is done, then whatever remains, man, you can blast. But realizing, self-realization that, I'm horrible at this person is good at this, and of course you need to be able to trust the person. This person is good at this, let them help you take that weight off. Like you worry about making the money and stuff, let them worry about that particular stuff, both of you win.
So I have two questions. Two questions. I like the way you began with the percentages. And my first question is, would you recommend having different bank accounts? Sorry, not different. A range of bank accounts. Because if you have savings, tithe, emergency, you'd have separate places to place these. But also, how would you go about that as well? Yes. My second question is, especially on the point of savings, how would you advise someone to increase their streams of income as creatives? Does someone have to, is it more of an intellectual question? Do you have to increase on the knowledge you have to provide better services, or is just a discipline question?
Okay, the first one, do I encourage multiple bank accounts? Actually, don't encourage bank accounts. We pay so much money in charges, biannual card charges, we pay excise duty, there's so many charges. I encourage one bank account. Like if you're going to get paid in the bank, one bank account. However, there are things, for example, when you're building your emergency fund, also the other thing about money on a bank account is it gets eaten by inflation. 100,000 today is not 100. When fuel was 3.5, for 10K I could get 3 liters. Right now I can't get 2 liters. So that's the effect of inflation. And that's what happens to your money when you keep it on the bank account that's not earning any interest. So in that case, my advice would be find something that earns not much interest, and don't look at it as an investment. Look at it as, this is where my savings are, and it's a caution against inflation. These can be unit trusts or treasury bills. These days, they're very easy to do. You fill a form once with your insurance company, sign a standing order, and they'll take the money to your unit trust. When you open a central depository system account with Bank of Uganda, it starts from 100,000. I think all commercial banks now do it. So whatever your bank is, they will still do the treasury bills for you at no extra fee. So I don't encourage multiple bank accounts. It's bank charges for no reason. Yeah. The other question was multiple streams of income. So how I go about multiple streams of income, the thing that's going to push you to think outside your current streams of income is financial goals. Do you have financial goals? What do you want financially? Okay, there are goals. Most of our goals are, I want to open a studio. But in how long? I'm sorry, I'm in a studio. So in how long? How much will it cost to open this studio? So if it's I want to open a studio and it has no figure attached to it, it's just a dream. You make it a goal by attaching a figure to it. And so if you say I want to open a studio, it costs 10 million, and I want to open it in 1 year. So you know that in this 1 year, I must make 10 million. That's what's going to push you to think, am I doing enough to get the money I need to do the things I want to do? In 1 year, I want a studio. In 2 years, what do I want? In 5, what do I want? Will I ever retire? There are new creatives. There are new kids being churned out who can do the things you do. By the time you're quote-unquote obsolete, what are you going to live on? So these things are the things that are going to push you to think outside. If you are doing, and it may not have to be multiple for the gig economy, it's just going to be a lot more work at a faster speed. You're churning out more gigs at shorter periods of time because you're chasing something. And again, like Sheila and Solomon King said, if you can do that 9 to 5 and your gig, do them.
Eric, you have something?
Yes, I have something to say. We're just here discussing with Fish. So I think one of the greatest things that affect our expenses are our lifestyles, I think. Yeah, because if some people get carried away by sociality and comparisons and all those things, like sometimes it's okay to be lucky, by the way, without being judged. I don't need to buy, yes, I don't
iOS and others.
Yes, I don't have to buy iOS. I can buy others, and I should be fine with it, and should be, yes.
Creatives don't like to be fine with others, but you raise a valid point.
Yes, because sometimes you go into spaces and everyone is like, you're using others, and you know, okay, Android. Okay, you go into spaces and people are saying, oh, you're using Android, you're using a fake phone. But I mean, like, guys, just being frugal and just being yourself, like not letting such statements put you down. Oh, you're the person who is getting on two borders. Oh, like now me, I ride a bike. Someone finds me, man, uvuga border. You get it? But they don't know that maybe the times when I've driven a car, I would spend maybe 50K from home to town and here. With a bike, I would probably use fuel of 2K. So just be free and learn to be yourself. Learn to accept your past. And if it is tormenting you, please heal. And then, move on. Because sometimes you get locked up in this place of where you try to prove a point. But honestly speaking, like life is too fast-paced anyways. Because the people you're trying to prove a point to today, tomorrow they're on another level. You're trying to catch up. You're just breaking yourself. Just be real. Just be yourself.
He he didn't. There's something, as he said, we were supposed to discuss, or we are discussing. You talked about the discipline that is very important for savings, and I've realized a lot of people can't really differentiate between a want and a need. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you think you want a shoe, but you have 5 pairs, and you still want something else that it will make you cooler, look cooler, yeah? So at the end of the day, when you look at the things, you're like, yeah, I want to buy this, but is it something that's going to improve my lifestyle, or it's just something to show off, yeah? So when you evaluate yourself, as you said, looking at your lifestyle, you want to ball with other people because you want a certain class. But in actual sense,
you're eating capital and they're eating profits.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I mean, that's what I've gone through a lot of years to make. Just because someone has a Benz, it doesn't necessarily mean I have to come and show off my car as well. Yeah, that's what, I do not know what he has gone through to get to where he is, yeah? So at the end of the day, let me ride the border. I'm going to be okay. If you're not okay with me, it's fine, yeah? So at the end of the day, differentiating between wants and needs is very important. It will save you a lot of time and resources and maybe finances.
Yeah. That's like a basic needs versus wants, and this is like P3 work. A need is food, shelter, but without going into because everyone knows what's a need to them and what's not. To a single mother with a 1-year-old, a car might be a need, because you need to get the child to hospital, there are things you need to do. But to someone, a car might be a luxury. So as a person, you know what's a need for you and what's not. The caution here, though, is do not stretch your needs into wants. For example, what you need is food. Does that mean you need cafe javas every day? So you have stretched your need into a want. If you have kids, what you need is an education. Yes, quality education, but are you taking your child, for example, to international school because it's cool or everyone takes their children there? Can you actually afford it? You have extended the need. They need education. They don't need international school education. They need education. So that's the caution we have to make. Yes, it's a need. Must your apartment be in Kololo? You just need a place to sleep. Go to what and get a good house.
My name is Moses. Biakaga Moses is my name. Do I need to introduce myself? Oh, that's all. Okay, thank you. Now, Millie, you've said something about your opinion about the second account or in a bank. You would not advise someone. But this is a point that we're talking about people who have issues with savings. And they don't feel that their money can do anything at any point other than spending it. So how do they generate a sense of saving in them without triggering themselves to save? And that would go through a situation whereby you're looking at a standing order. Because if you have a standing order in a fixed account, where we've said that there is a certain percentage that is being deducted from every gig that you get, and it goes direct to that account, and you've set a certain period where and when you'll use that money. However much banking and all that, it is a bit complicated, the savings and the knowledge. But someone to gain that knowledge, there is something that we have in my field, faking it until you make it. And you have to act. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer by profession. And I'm HR consultant. I'm a financial analyst. So, yeah? No, that is in the law field. Yeah. But again in the financial field, if someone, for example, if I would like to talk about the emergency fund, someone to fake it until they make it, there are there are a lot of things that one has to go through. For example, you have to make yourself believe that I can make it. And I need to save this money. I have this money. I can get there. You are faking it till that date. You get it? Another thing is here. Every dollar, for example, I'm sorry to use an example, but he might walk out here, and he goes out there. Meeting his clients, he needs to present a certain image to them. And your client looking at you has something to tell. And say, yes, I can deal with this gentleman based on that person, how they are dressed and how they act and all. But all that we are looking at is faking it until you make it. You get it? And what is your name? Huh? Paul? Powell. Powell. So Powell is in a situation that he needs money. And we're talking about emergency fund, an emergency fund, something that is going to tackle any unpredictable funds and all that. And how does he develop a culture whereby he has not saved at all? He only thinks about investing. But these are the same people that we are looking at that enjoyment. This is a young age. Enjoyment is something. Competition is another story to look at. And they need to have that feeling that, you know, I can make it. And something has to force them into making such certain decisions. If a certain percentage is being deducted as a standing order into the bank, somehow this person will be forced into the culture of saving. Because at a certain point, I believe, they will realize that, you know what? This is it. Because when you save money, at the end of the day, there is something that you can gain out of it. If that percentage is taken off, and that is another account handling it. Otherwise,
I discouraged bank accounts, but I mentioned standing orders to unit trusts. It's the same thing. It's the same discipline. But where the other money goes, it earns some interest, as opposed to it sitting on a bank account. Because most of our accounts, if they're going to earn interest, it will be like 2%. And yet your 100K can earn a 10% where it is and as it grows. So I said no to the account, but I didn't say no to the standing order and the discipline of putting that money aside.
Hopefully they appreciate and understand when you talk about unity trusts. A moment. You know, you've said something like that. I run a UPA life. This is me. There is a standing order that goes to that account, and they need to deduct a certain amount from that account. Then I realize that if I stop putting their money, you're going to lose. But what about you weigh out and say, like, okay, I've just put in maybe around 1M as of now, but is this working out for me? And you just decide to stop depositing on that account.
Why were you sending that money there? This is why I said, what are your financial goals? Because if it hasn't hit the money you want it to be, you're not going to withdraw that 1 million when it has not reached the threshold you want it to be for whatever it is that you want to use it for.
I am very interested into financial literacy, so now that we're in the creative circle, I'm going to push a bit for some answers that I rarely get. So when you look at the creative sphere, most of us, you're all of it. You're the producer, you're the photographer, you're the designer, you're the what. So that in itself makes the creative business side capital intensive. Right now, I'm just starting up, but even when I'm saying that I want to produce very good work, I need a decent laptop of 7.5 million in order to produce, on average, good work. And then there is the issue of, for instance, you have a
Is that true, though?
Yeah, for architecture, yes. if you're to render, and because those programs won't go on a laptop of 2 million, 3 million.
Like an animation computer.
Yeah, and then if you look at you're the photographer, you have to do product what and everything. I've had issues with others, but maybe on average.
By others, you mean Android again?
Yeah, like no, seriously,
No,
like
just clarifying.
Thinking about it, the iPhone is like, okay, maybe this is just a brand bias, but the iPhone and the Google Pixel are some of those small camera options you have that don't need you to have an actual camera, but it's decent enough. But it also needs a certain amount of investment. Then maybe you have like a few cameras here, you have a printer here and there. So in average, when you add up your total equipment, it's like 13 or 15 million. Now you have 15 million of equipment that allow you to be able to earn whatever you're earning. So you're thinking, okay, are you going to go to a place of 150 where they are going to just break the door, yet you know how much it took to like
insure your equipment.
Yes, so okay.
You don't have equipment worth 13 million that's not insured.
Okay, let me finish it. So that's already now coming into where am I going to stay, where the securities are big.
It's a big
so
thing.
yeah, so there is that issue, and then there is also the conversation about saving. But then since you're running your personal business, there are also these issues of maybe you have to like register the thing. You have, if you want to scale up, you have to invest in certain things. Maybe now your phone is no longer enough. You have to come to Nino for like proper product photos. So it's like there is this whole constant expenditure, and it's not really expenditure on hangouts and all that kind of, like all this money is actually going into your stuff.
You don't have to do all of it now. Face yourself. You'll break.
But what does that mean?
Get a UK used.
The UK, no, the new one is 12 million.
But they're less. No, but you see, you can't. The biggest problem is you want to get everything here and now.
No, you're actually not getting it here and now because you're saving. You're 100K. They told you registration is 700K. So you save up slowly, you reach like what you were saying. You spend it, you're back to zero. So like it's you're constantly.
You're not back to zero. You're now onto a new goal.
So when
one has been achieved.
So how shall we get to the point of also saying I have like $250K in the
No, it takes, first of all, it takes time. When I say it takes time, it actually takes time. The $250,000, I don't know, maybe some people are born with an inheritance, but there are people who are starting from zero and people who are starting from below zero. You're literally pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
The only thing you have is time.
Okay. I'm going to go for a very short break. But Gilbo has something burning to talk to you.
Right now. Okay, I understand the situation you're talking about, because personally I was there. You know, like you want to be able to do your work at a specific at a certain level, but then you're limited by whatever it is that you have. And to that, I would say the problem we have and the frustrations that come with our kind of work is we don't understand where we are at that particular point in time. What you need to do is appreciate where you are at that particular time. Personally, like even Nino, at some point he didn't have a camera, right? At some point you didn't have, you understand, eh? Yeah, and the problem that we all face is we spend everything we have at once, and we think if you've saved 12 million, you want to buy a camera, and then you buy it, but then nothing changes. Your clients haven't changed, nothing has changed. You'll go back to square one. So for me, what I normally do is buy something that's better than what I have now. It doesn't have to be the other one, but I don't drain your whole account because you want to buy that piece of equipment. You get? Yeah. I started, my first camera was was a Sony A6000. Eh? And you know how lousy that camera is. For video, for photography it's good, but for video it's not very good. You get, and when you show up to a shoot, a client will be like, "Hey, boss, where are you taking my money?" You get. So understanding what you have and being able to do the best with what you have is the thing that will alleviate all this stress of, oh, I'm not here, I'm not getting there fast. Like she said, the resource we have, we don't know how much it is, but I feel it's in abundance this time. The problem is we want the things that some of these people we see around us, the things they've been able to get after 10 years, we want them right now. You get it? So the 9 million laptop will be able to help you with your work. But do you have to buy it now? Can't you do the work you're doing? It might take longer. It might take, longer, but it's okay. You get it? It's very important to increase your cash flow before being able to invest in some of these things. I learned this like 2 years ago, that it doesn't matter how good your tools are. Eh? If you're not able to market them well, if people that are going to pay for your work are not there, they will be useless. You get? Yeah. They will be useless. So what you need to do is increase your cash flow, work on your marketing, get more clients in, then you'll be able to justify it. Eh? Okay, if I buy this laptop, 10 million, 12 million, I'll be able to pay it back in like the shortest time possible. I always look at that. Like if I buy this piece of equipment, how long will it, based off of my kind of clients that I get, how long will it take me to make this money back? You get? A lot of people I see are still, I'll go back, are still doing gigs for 150K. And you see them, they have saved a lot of money for a very long time to get this lump sum and buy like a camera kit, but they're still charging that amount of money. How long is it going to take you to make that money back? If it's going to take you 2 years, that's not a good investment. You get? So instead of, I'll speak about the field I'm in. Instead of buying that FX3, 4,000, go get like an A7, 3 or 7, whatever, because the kind of work is still the same. You get? The work is still the same. Like I said before, it's not going to change your clients until you make that choice to like change the kind of people I'm going to be working for. If you don't do that, we are going to be in poverty for as long as we live.
Okay, that's a very good point, because he has gone into investment, which we are going to get into right after a very short break of like 2 minutes. If you can just go out, grab a drink and then come back in 2 minutes. Thank you. So, the first half of our discussion, we're talking about savings, and towards the end of it, we had started talking about investments, right? I know people here who are into stocks. They will tell us all the levels of investment. But yeah, how he ended it was definitely a mic drop. But for some of us, especially photographers who can relate, or videographers, it's most of our expenditure, or what we term as investment, is actually gear, right? So you save up millions and millions and millions. You end up holding money you've never held in your life to buy this small thing, right? And after you've bought it, it's definitely very good equipment, but after you've bought it, then yeah, it can break. But also, clients are not changing, as he said. Your level of work, maybe your images are crispier, right? They are better in low light if you're a photographer. But mostly you're still posting them on Instagram, right? And Instagram is still going to treat them the same way it's treating every other camera. And yeah, so what's the smart investment in as a creative? Are you going to invest in your skill? Are you going to go back to school to study a skill that you know will add on to your craft? Or are you going to buy an iPhone because you need to look good in front of a client? Even if you're buying an iPhone, which iPhone are you buying, right? Do you want the latest one to keep coming? Do you want the latest Mercedes-Benz or something? Do you want to show off what? Are you getting luxuries that you actually can't maintain? Yeah, so I'd like to dive into investments and what does that actually mean. So we've saved money, right? I know we've talked about, what did we? About, yes, you're saving, but what exactly are you saving for, right? And is it smart for what you're saving for? Maybe, okay, it's okay to save for nyege nyege. Yeah, but yeah, it's little money, but someone may decide to save to take the entire crew, right? Take them to the best hotel in Jinja, and that's how do you differentiate between something that will grow your craft and actually a luxury, right? And where do you draw the line? You've saved, now it's time to spend or invest or get the saving, and the investment is acting at the same time as saving. I would like to pose a question to Mary. Tell us the different kinds of investments that you think are there. Where the terminologies are hard, please break it down for us. Then we shall bring it back to us. What investments are you doing? Whether if you're an interior designer, just tell us, this is the investment I'm doing, either it's in myself or something completely different. Yes, Mary.
I have a list that I think I should refer to, but anyway, if I forget anything, I'll refer. Where should we invest? First of all, what's your risk appetite? What can you take and what can you not take? There are people who can, I don't know, invest, and even if they lost all that money, they're fine. And then there is you, who that is your everything. So what's your risk appetite? How much are you of that money are you willing to lose? Because when it comes to investment, the higher the risk, the higher the return. But diversification is key, because then it helps you to hedge against some of this risk. For example, I don't even know, what's the riskiest investment? I'm looking at you.
Honestly, it's stock markets.
Stock markets.
Yeah.
So if stocks are the riskiest investment, then you can't get all your money and put it in stocks. You need to maybe also grow the muscle slowly and learn the craft before you just go and put all your money. The other thing when it comes to investment, if it's too good to be true, it's exactly that, too good to be true. Capital chicken was never a thing. Just that people didn't listen, but it was too good to be true, and that's it. Also, if it smells like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's most probably a duck. If it looks like a pyramid scheme, it is a pyramid scheme, and unless you're the founder, stay away from it. Of course, the founders get. I don't know. So when it comes down to us, I mentioned before, the safest investment, bare minimum, bottom line, are government securities. And government securities come into treasury bills and bonds. The difference between these two is just the timing. Treasury bills can be 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. When they cross over a year, they become bonds. The longer, what you're doing in this case is you're lending to the government. Our government borrows from us through treasury bills, and and bonds. The longer they keep your money, the higher the interest on them. So the most profitable is like a 17-year bond. 15-year, it's currently at 17.5% interest. That's the most profitable. The 3-month, 90-day treasury bill, I think right now is at like 9 or 10% per annum. So I like to use these as a place to keep your money, to grow it. Then you can, after it has accumulated, you can move it into the other bigger and more risky and riskier things that you want to do. For example, if you put away, I don't know, 200K for 3 months, in 3 months, it's like 600 and maybe like 30K. The interest is not a lot. And then you get, after 3 months, you get that money and add whatever else is available for that month and keep it another 3 months. At the end of the year, your money is still there and you can get it and put it into other things. The other things, I don't know, I don't want to be quoted on investments. People have borders, they work for some, they don't work for others. People have been schooled in agriculture, and some people are making it big in agriculture. But if it's a business and it's not passive, what I call passive are things which you don't have to supervise every day, like treasury bills and bonds. If you need to supervise it every day, you had better be available to supervise it every day. If you can't make time for it, don't put money in it. If you can't be there and see how the things are moving, don't put money in it. You'd rather, if you're an armchair investor, find armchair investments to do. Yes.
Okay, so the most risk-free investments are just the bonds and the
Yes,
treasury bills.
and in the market now, we have unit trusts provided by all insurance companies and Zeno. Zeno currently runs an umbrella fund. So what these guys do is they get my 100K, your 100K, those are the units, and put it together and invest it. Now the interest is quoted annually, but it accrues every day. So if you have a million shillings and you log onto the system, you're able to see how much has added. It's usually little increments, but you see it grow as the time goes. And the difference between these and the government securities is they're easier to access if you need the money. So that can be both an advantage and a disadvantage, depending on where you're looking at it from. So when the money is in unit trust, it grows every day, and you're able to access it. I think now in like 24 hours, if you put in the application, they'll give it back to you. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say an investment is something I put money in and I have to get
for your money
more,
to grow?
To get more than that?
Yes.
So sending money to my uncle who said he'll give me double the next month is not okay. So I want to pose the question back to you guys. I know Joel one day told us he has, did you say goats? Yeah, he has goats. I'd like to hear from you guys. What investments are you doing? Are they very close to your craft, right? So that it's easier for you to monitor? Or is it something completely different? And how is it going for you? Yeah.
So for me, I think just like Matama said, it's very important to diversify and increase your streams, or rather how you make money. Because if a person who was an events person, who was only taking pictures, then COVID came for us, and there are no more weddings. They were there, but low-key, it was really very hard to move around, honestly. You would be trapped. And most of us, some of these things we never learned, such as the emergency funds and everything. So we basically had to be like government at Tuyambe. And they gave us beans that were not getting ready. So what do I personally do? First of all, honestly speaking, I just try to do different things. Yes, I do photography, but as well, I do also graphics design. But also that is still not enough. I treat those as independent jobs. And after that, I do the savings bit. But honestly speaking, saving alone won't make you wealthy. It will never make you wealthy, by the way. You'll just keep saving, buying gear, same cycle. And you know, some of us are very bad. You always just want the newest gear, and you know, you keep running in that cycle. So, what have I done? I've used unit trusts that really helped me. Personally, I save using unit trusts, specifically UAP. And for the easy money, so what I did for my design work, the money that I save, I put it in UAP. For my photography, I put in my Zeno account. But beyond that, also every month I put a target. Like, let me say every month I can choose to be like, okay, I'll have to make an investment of $100 into something that is not savings, that is not emergency fund, but money for me to risk and experiment what is really possible. Some people have tried chicken business. That one failed me. But so I tried the stock market. It slaps. You also slap. Those who don't know. Yeah, today you win, tomorrow
you don't.
Tomorrow you lose. But to me, honestly, it's not all about that, you know, that about the winning bits that, oh, yeah, I'm winning. But even in the losses, I try as much as I can to learn from my mistakes. And just like she said, that you grow the muscles, you become much better, not wanting to be, because now this is a challenge. Some people just want to do these investments and want quick money. Like, I want now. Like, I put in now, I get now. That is what I tried with binary options. I grew from $100 to $300. I was like, you know what? Let me first withdraw the $200 now. It was with, yes, to see whether it works. Yeah, I withdrew the money, honestly. It worked. But then I tried to do the risky business again on the $100 that I'd left. But the good thing, I'd withdrawn the money, the $200, the capital, and the profits. So I left the extra $100 there to experiment. And it slapped me back. But all in all, I would honestly say, before you start something, read, research. And when you're experimenting with your investments, I think it's always very wise to start on small scale. Start on a small scale, see what loopholes are there, try to fix them. Because like now, the point that I've reached right now with the stock market is that I try to, with the use of AI now, like I try to use ChatGPT to my own advantage. I try to create codes and just try to manipulate the system. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it slaps. But honestly speaking, like once, like that continuous trying and experimenting and trying, once you figure out that something is working for you, you find that I know that I'll be comfortable. I know that maybe my win rates in a specific kind of investment is like about 80%. I would be fine then to have a larger investment into that business and let it run and take off as I do my continuous research on other things to become much better. Then also, it's very important to invest in yourself as well. What do I mean by invest in yourself? Invest in knowledge, because some people just get a skill and remain at that flat level. Then they start asking, man, other people I'm teaching are going places. It's because they're taking time to learn other things that perhaps you're not learning. Because most of us as creatives, we just want gig, get money, save, go home. But you don't want to learn the business side of things. I think that was mentioned sometime. Like, learn how things work. Like, learn to do some paperwork, learn how to do some writing. Sheila was talking about tracking. Like, I know it's not easy to track your expenses, but it's very important. Because at some point also, I think when I tracked my expenses, I realized that I think I was spending like about $1 million on transport. and it didn't make sense. So I had to look for a way how to cut down that transportation. So by buying a bike, that 1 million became like about 60K. Yeah, you get. Yeah. So it's a normal bike. It's a bike. Yeah. But I mean, like, you get.
It's like a budget.
No. It's a normal bike. But in short, like, if you're not very keen, honestly, on tracking your expenses and just trying to look for where your loopholes are, like, know how much money you have, because, and this is also what I tell people, like, buy very functional things that do the job. Like, sometimes it's not very important to have the very high-end gear, but yet your clients have not changed. So,
Also,
yeah.
creatives have even just iPhone users. Like, you buy the expensive
Yes.
gear,
What's the point?
but you use 10%
So if
of
you
what the
probably
thing can
see
do.
me having
so
an
what's the
iPhone
point?
14, just now use it for behind the scenes or recording some BTS or something like that. But having functional gear will help you save up more money. What do I mean by that? If I went to the shop now and a Z8 is about $3,000, why would I buy that? Yet I know maybe a D800 is about $800, and it does the job. In case I need to hire the Z8 for a gig, I'll quote highly, I'll go and rent it, do the job, take it back, I have more money. So this is what I tell people, until sometimes you're able to buy something 2 times, please don't buy it. Yeah. Honestly, for land, I don't know about land investments, but for me personally, this is like the kind of, in terms of gear, because sometimes you find that if my phone falls down today and breaks, to save for it, like, I can comfortably go and then get another one without stalling my work process. So sometimes learning how to live it's kind of like being very frugal, living on the minimum bottom line, low-key, but then hitting it. They see you with a bike, but the next time you see me, maybe I'm in a Bentley. Yeah, thank you.
So Eric raises valid points. Due diligence, you said learn and practice, but before you invest your money in anything, do your due diligence, especially if it involves people. You're going to give someone your money. Like, can you trust them with money? The people are going to invest it for you or trade for you. The other thing is, if you're going to start a business, every business works on an Excel sheet. No one has ever done a projection and it ended in losses. However, on the ground, it's a very different story. So as you do those projections, try as much as possible to apprentice. Find someone who is doing what you want to do. Even if you're to offer free service, learn the skill. Don't put your money in things you don't know, because everything works on paper.
Yeah. Okay. Mary has to go and make an investment in her family at exactly 8:30. So if anyone has a question for her regarding investments, please shoot. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Just a simple question to Mary. Would you advise that fellow creatives invest in fellow creatives' endeavors? Would you advise that?
Yeah, if you believe in what they do. But that, again, that can't be your sole investment.
Yes, exactly. Because at a point, for now, you find that creatives are not really well versed with the business entity of their endeavor, but they have a viable idea, yes, but they cannot pitch it sometimes, nor they cannot stand on the financial grounds to defend it in terms of projections. Yeah, you've answered it, so I will just now say something towards it. Yeah, if you feel that you have some knowledge, financial knowledge, and then your fellow creative is struggling, it's always helpful that you step in and help. Someone can't project basically maybe 5 years of their business, but their idea as a creative is very good and their market is fresh. You can please help if it's possible. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. The name is Raymond, and I'm a photographer. The company is Media Nirvana. So, one thing I have to tell you is, and one thing I am grateful to God for, is that I didn't let another person invest into my business. It is a good thing, but it has, everything has its pros and cons, yeah? So here's the thing. We are in the field, you understand? You will know December is peak season, right? In January, you're still working. Feb, we get into that Lent, you get? So Lent, Feb, March, April, you get? And there's a person who made an investment to the company, you get? So every time you make an investment, what do you expect? You get? So the side of the coin is, that may ruin friendship. You get? I will come to you and tell you, you know what, man, I've seen photography is a very, very good endeavor. Don't you think I should join? Like, man, come, buy this gear. Trust me. Let me be honest with you. I have met people have come to me with ideas, and I tell them, okay, you know what? I give them a try. They keep telling me, man, I want to invest into the company. I want to invest. What can I do to get shares? I'm like, you know what? I trick them. What do? I tell them, let's do this, huh? Let's buy a camera. You get? I'm going to give you a percentage. Bring your percentage as well. You get? So the thing I do is this. They bring the highest percentage, and they bring the least percentage. You get? So what happens? I'm not working. Say Eric comes for the camera. You get? We agree that, you know what, this is what's going to happen. Every time the camera is out, I will get a percentage of that. But in most cases, they're always excited. They're like, for me, it's okay. We can even split 50-50. I'm like, hey, you're coming with that? It is okay. Let's go. We go on, business goes on, business goes on. But in the midst of all those things, they always have the idea that, but for you, whenever you're using the camera, it's okay. For you, you don't have to pay. Since you bought, you invested your money into the whole thing, you don't have to pay. So this is a person who will see you working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You skip Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're working. So what's going to happen? This person's going to sit back and be like, you know what? But you're always working. Why don't you, cut for me something? But for me, I'll get back to you and tell you, but remember, our initial agreement was, I wasn't supposed to pay. You get? But one thing is, he said, let people invest into your, okay, give a helping hand, give a helping hand. Quite honestly, it's a very tricky field. You guys know that.
The problem I'm hearing from what you're saying, Raymond, is these are gentlemen's agreements. Why are they gentlemen's agreements? If you're making an investment, it's a real business transaction. Why are you treating it like a friendship?
Of course. It's
at that point, it has crossed into a business transaction. There should be paperwork. There should be terms.
I like the idea that's why we're having all these things, you get? To open our eyes, to understand that it's important for you to write down whichever agreement you're getting into.
Yes, and it should be a common business practice because there's an agency that lost money when Crane Bank closed over gentlemen's agreements.
Yeah. But you see, the question is this. I presume we have very many wedding photographers here, right? Do we? Okay, I'm a wedding photographer. We have wedding photographers. But let me ask, the question is, Karama, you shoot weddings. Do you give your clients contracts?
And by the way, you guys who deal with weddings especially, there's no one who changes their mind as much as a bride.
Trust me. You see,
So if nothing was agreed, and it doesn't, we don't have to sign a dotted line. It just can't be verbal. It just can't be you said, she said.
you see,
There has to be something to refer to.
I'm sorry I came late. Yeah? You're a lawyer? Yeah? Thank you. Okay. So you're a lawyer. What makes an agreement stand? A witness has to be there, right? Does a verbal agreement hold weight if it has a witness? It still stands in court, right? So, okay, we agree that, I'm going to shoot Gilbert's wedding. You get? So I'm shooting Gilbert's wedding, and then you're around. Then Gilbert comes back, and Gilbert tells me, the wedding is going to be in, it's going to be at Skies. Gilbert comes back next week, the following week, and tells me, you know what? Due to some circumstances, we are going to take the wedding straight to Arua. What does that mean? You have to get back on the drawing board and do what? Discuss. But in most cases, you know how our clients be. You get? It is very hard. It is very hard. Getting a client, and of course, their clients, because the more you stay in the field, the more your eyes are opened, and the longer you, the more, okay, what can I say? The more you stamp your authority in the field, the easy it is for clients to respect you. You understand? But you know, at the beginning here, I'll be honest with you, at the very beginning when I was starting out the wedding photography thing, I used to give clients packages. I used to give clients agreements, and they used to sign. But of course, I don't know whether it's laxity. I don't know whether I became reluctant. I know paperwork is tiresome. That's when you have to, what does it bring you back to? Eric, you run a company, right? How many people do you employ? You see? But anyway, that's all I wanted to put across, that it is very important for you to know where you're investing your money. You get? Very, very important. That's all I wanted to say, that don't just dive into something because you've told me, man, chikola. You get? Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
I know you have one last question. If you can make it brief, because then we can close. No, he has.
My name is Patrick. I'm a documentary photographer. My question is two parts. What's your opinion on SACCOs and savings and investment groups? And do we have a space for creatives that can get into SACCOs or savings and investment groups among themselves that can be helpful to them as a form of investment?
I do actually believe in SACCOs and savings and investment groups. The Institute of Public Accountants runs one, which I'm a member of. And SACCOs are good and important because, one, they force you to save. Like that push that he was talking about, if you belong to a group. And SACCOs are not cash rounds. Just to be specific. SACCOs are not cash rounds. Yeah, so but they're not cash rounds. So when SACCOs are formal and they've been formed and they're legal entities and you put your money together, usually they can be about a profession. So say creatives. My problem with the word creatives is it's from like A to Z. There are like so many things in the middle there, and the problem might be the agreement, because different creative businesses have different dynamics, but SACCOs definitely work. And for example, if you to take a loan, on the list of places you should take a loan from is first friends and family, then SACCOs, because your SACCOs are usually going to lend to you at a lower rate, but also if you're a member of that SACCO, you're as if like you're making more money for the general pool. You're also benefiting from this. before you go down to banks and everyone else. So yes, I greatly encourage SACCOs and savings scheme. What? Is there one for creatives? I do not know. Nino, do creatives have a SACCO? Is there one that's formally formed and registered? Favorite one? Agandy should start. That's a Nino conversation to have. I don't know any for creatives that they can be a part of. The ones I know are based on profession and workplaces. No, they are not open to outsiders. Bank of Uganda, URA, they have the biggest SACCOs in the country, but they are for those people.
Okay, we are going to let Mary go. So please give her a hand of.
So I just wanted to share, like practically, what we invest in, and because I do not know your field and your circumstances, but just, I don't know, to consolidate everything we've talked about. So pre-pandemic, 2017, yes, 18. Pandemic was 2020. So 2018, together with a group of friends, different bands of income, we came together and just decided to put money together, to save together as a group for accountability, to grow the muscle, for everything, because individually it was hard. So together, we put money together, entrusted one of us to be the treasurer, and you didn't have to, it was not a fixed amount. It just had a minimum of 100,000. So when people got bonuses, when people got gigs, when people got paid, we would put this money in this fund. And of course, pandemic came. Some people stopped working, some people continued to work. But by the first 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, that when they close open, when they released us, curfew was removed. We at that point we were 12. We had 90 million shillings. And we went down to, because now the money was sitting in treasury bills. Every month when we'd contribute, would get bills for a year. So it kept revolving. If this month there's a maturity plus people's contributions, we would put it back for a year. And so when we got this money now, it was time for, okay, what are we going to do? So we went down to, there's a place by the Nile, Kangulumira, and bought a riparian piece of property, land that borders the river, to 2 acres, to just like land bank, keep the money there. There is a bigger plan, but that's what the money could do at that point, to secure the land. Because if you have a plan to invest in something, and this thing involves land, the best time to buy the land is now. Because if you want, by the time you have the money to do that thing, the cost of the land will have tripled. So we bought the land because we needed to secure the land and left it there. It's 2 years now. It's there. The land prices are probably doubled or tripled, but we are secure in the fact that it's there. It's not going away. So we've planted grass on it. The plan is a resort of sorts with cottages and stuff, but those are like 10-year plans. But they can only happen if there is a today plan. So again, it's possible. Now that's as a group. The other thing as a family is we have a family budget. I know how much we spend on a monthly, and we have agreed how much my husband contributes to this pool and how much I contribute. But individually, we have 2 children, so we have taken out life insurance policies for them, and these are to safeguard against permanent disability, chronic illness, and death. So we both have policies, and the children are the beneficiaries of these policies. So these are 15-year policies where we are contributing 250,000 a month. But in case one of us dies, if I die, for example, my son is a beneficiary of this, and he'll get a payout of about 32 million shillings. It will set him, it will not set him for life, but it will set him, it will buy him time before he can do whatever he wants to do. But also, these policies also have a clause, like if you die, your family gets that money, they're shaken that you're not there, but financially they can continue to live their lifestyle as they figure out what else. You know, the shock of death, the death of a breadwinner is just always very shaky. Yeah, so we also run a retail shop that we can supervise. I have put systems such that we know, but this is to cover daily money. We live in the village. We live in Chiwenda, 35 kilometers out of town. We need fuel. This fuel cannot come out of our salaries. The price of fuel right now, every time I fuel, I get a mini heart attack because, but you see, you need things to cover these things. So all this to say, I practice what I preach, and it's possible.
The question is, I would like to know about insuring equipment.
So everything of value that you have, Jello has once insured her BAM, can be insured. You just approach, I do have an insurance broker that we use. I can give you his number, but they are able to craft out these policies for you. But my advice would be, read your fine print. Read insurance comes with big documents. Read them, know exactly what they cover and what they don't cover. The thing you might be insuring against might be there in their fine print as a thing they don't cover. And all these things can be negotiated. If you don't agree with the clause, let them know you don't agree with the clause. It can be changed. If it can't be changed, they'll let you know. The worst is you have decided when you know. You've made this decision when you know that this thing is not covered. Yes.
To really add on what she has given us tonight, there is something that I would like to share with you. Yesterday, on X, or former Twitter, former or the retired IGP shared something. Kindly allow me to read it for you. He said it's an unpopular opinion. I'm glad I have experienced life during and after formal employment. In my current time zone, one needs steady cash flow. Food, school fees, medical bills, social obligations hit you hard. If you are where I was 20 years ago, save, invest wisely, and enjoy retirement. Investing after retirement is tricky. It should be done before. You only need to supervise what you've started earlier on. Time comes when you will rule your current expenditure options. Those NSSF or unit trust savings are important. Don't burn your hard-earned cash through irresponsible living. Those rounds you offer every evening can be channeled into some investment. That doesn't mean you shouldn't drink or socialize. Simply be wise how you spend. Time comes when those you chopped it with won't even visit or won't even call or visit you.
Okay, thank you for that. We've come to the very end. Thank you, Mary. We appreciate the time you've spent with us and all the knowledge. If you have any more questions during the week to ask her, please just send them to our Instagram. She will give them. As she walks away, please give her a hand clap. Okay, we also thank our sponsors. Emma, you know the pronunciation. We thank our sponsors, Gothe Zentrum, for sponsoring Studio Talk. See you next in 2 weeks' time. Have a good night and reach home safely.